Hey guys, it's Josh. Today we're doing a video on decryption. I'm excited about this one because I feel like our competition in the marketplace talks about, well, you don't need decryption for this or that. And that's easy for them to say because they don't do it. We've spent 10 plus years developing out of band decryption all the way up to TLS 1.3, which is your perfect forward secrecy cipher suites. And that's really what the entire world is going to be headed towards in the next months or years. So the ability to decrypt it really, really matters. We like to say you can't secure it if you can't see it. And I'm going to show you an example of that today. And this is why our competitors try to say like, well, you don't really need to do that. The reality is you do if you really want to understand and start to derive security insights out of the transactions that are running on your enterprise. Without it, you are going to be seeing opaque tunnels and really just IP and no context associated with those transactions. That's things like SQL injections, database statements, things that are going to be hiding in plain sight with this opaque data that's laying on the top of it that you can't inspect if you don't decrypt it. So let's walk through an example of what that looks like. I've run some traffic on a web server here in my lab. I've put on decryption and turned off decryption to show you what each looks like within the ExtraHop system. So let's walk through that. When you turn decryption on, and I have other videos on how to set up decryption, so I'm not necessarily going to walk through that part of it. I'm going to just show you some of the results of it. If you need help with that, we're obviously going to be willing to help you all the way. But decryption is going to show up when we decrypt it as HTTPS traffic. So top protocol out, I decrypted and I was at HTTPS. So we decrypted at SSL and we said, boom, there's HTTP under that. And we start to derive all the goodies of the HTTP traffic from that SSL TLS tunnel. When you see SSL 443, there is no decryption there. And I'm going to show you the difference of each of those, right? Because I turned it on and off. So first and foremost, what does it look like when you don't have any decryption? I have this application web server. It's my ERP. It's my EMR from a hospital. It's my mortgage processing application. And I have and I have decryption on it. So I'm looking to do some threat investigation. I'm looking for the detections that are associated with this. When you have decryption on, your detections go way up because now we can inspect inside those transactions to look for nefarious traffic, SQL injections, cross-site scripting, common CVEs. When it's encrypted, the security players, the hackers, the malware distributors like that because they can hide from you and hide from inspection. So what do you see when it's encrypted? All right, so what we look at here is look at certificates. So boom, I can see the SSL envelope, there's your certificate. Here's the SNI associated with that. That's my web server. And I can see the clients connecting to it. Helpful, right? That's useful information. It really is. But what do we see on the contrary when it's HTTP traffic, HTTPS? So I'm going to look at server activity HTTP. I'll show the exact same traffic, but we've decrypted it. What can we pull from that? What can we derive? Let's say a security incident occurred. There's some clear text passwords, some credit cards in the clear, something like that. All right. So I can click and see URIs. What do we have here? So now we have the actual websites that are inside that SSL SNI. So it's just said my web server name. Now, here's what was accessed. Who were the clients? What was the content type? So I can look and quickly see, oh, wow, they're buying different things on the website. That's interesting. I'm able to derive that information. And guess what? Here's the real big point. This feeds the detections. We've decrypted it, opened up that opaque tunnel, and now we're feeding the detections. Your detections are only as good as the data you feed it. And our competitors like to say that decryption doesn't matter when the reality is they don't have it. And so they can't take that data and feed their detection engine like ExtraHop or RevealX can. So I can look at any of these and I can quickly start to see, wow, there's a big difference in the type of traffic that I'm able to get and analyze when decryption is turned on. So I did the same access to the same website, decryption on and decryption off. So here's one that's interesting, checkout place order. Hit the magnifying glass on that. I have 90 days of metadata associated with it to be able to see those decrypted transactions. And keep in mind, at this point, we're not actually pulling any kind of personally identifiable information. This is all really just transactional level data of the websites and the URIs to be able to inform the detection engine. The detection engine is going to be looking for personal identifiable information, credit cards, passwords and stuff, but it's not going to be displayed for your users, right? We're just going to show you the detection associated with that. And I'm going to take it a step further here in a second to show you how you can go even more into the package to look for those. So inside the records, I'm actually able to see decrypted, client, server, port, URI, user agent, And this is all feeding the detections. I can hit select all here and look at all the transactional level detail. Look at all this that we're able to scoop out of the packets when decryption is turned on. Now I can query for all packets displayed here. This is where it gets super interesting. Now I have the payloads associated with those transactions. So I can actually download the packets, apply these session keys here, and then I can use the docs at ExtraHop to download session keys with the packet captures and actually decrypt those packets and payloads to see, maybe I got a detection from ExtraHop that said HTTP passwords in the clear, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, any number of the CVEs or rule-based detectors we have. And I want to inspect the actual payloads of those transactions and hold the application owners accountable for it, the developers, and also potentially litigation that might have to happen. So you have the packets of record associated with that. So this is where the really cool part comes in, right? So here's the actual packets that I just showed you. On the right is encrypted, and on the left, decrypted. So if you're ever thinking back to the 80s, that commercial, for those of you who are old enough, this is your brain on drugs. This is your brain off drugs. This is the same thing. Imagine trying to take this data here on the right and feed that into detection engine for any of our competitors. What do you do with that? That's opaque data. That's basically that's SSL data as the wire sees it. Until you have that key, this means nothing, literally nothing. And then on the left, look what we have here. We've decrypted it. There's a credit card number. Looks like I have some login details associated with that transaction, right? There's any number of beautiful details that we're able to extract from that and inform the detections that this is happening. So on the right, it's obfuscated, opaque data. There's nothing you can derive from that except IP port. On the left, all the way, everything I did on that web server, everything I touched, I entered my credit cards, my billing information. That's all available when you decrypt the packets. And now you can clearly see and validate, wow, we have a problem. We're not hashing passwords. Credit cards are moving in the clear. Now I have crystal clear proof of in here. And this is all out of band. So everything that moves back and forth is still completely protected. We decrypt out of band, dead end. You can't pull that information off ExtraHop once you put those certs in there. So we're able to decrypt and allow you to do that in a way that doesn't reduce your security in flight. So again, I think this is really cool. So I'll say it the last time. On the right, encrypted. On the left, decrypted. It's clear as day the difference. What would you rather have in your infrastructure? Informed detections that are based on transactional data that show things like credit cards and passwords and authentication error and all the beautiful parts of packets that we can start to inform detections, or are you going to inform them with basically nothing? You're just processing and dropping this data. This does nothing to help you become more secure. Hope this was helpful, guys. Thanks so much.